Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good days and greetings everyone. Today, we would like to present our CSC126 root project entitled Library Management System. This system is designed to help librarians manage book transactions more efficiently. Before we proceed any further, I would like to introduce our team's members.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Afifah Halia binti Azman with student ID 2025867372.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ifah binti Muhammad Arif and my student number ID is 2025469814.
And I am Siti Nur Hidayah binti Azlan. Now let's move on with our problem analysis. In our problem analysis, we identify several issues faced by libraries that still use manual system. First, borrowing and return records are written manually, which often leads to human error, such as incorrect dates or wrong fine amounts. Second, library staff spend too much time calculating fine manually, especially when dealing with different membership types. This reduces work efficiency. Lastly, without a proper system, it becomes difficult to manage book transactions and keep records updated. This problem highlights the need for a computerized system to improve accuracy and efficiency.
In this project, we want to highlight some of the objectives to make this project work. First, we aim to record the book borrowing and returning process accurately. By doing this, the system helps to prevent loss of records and librarians do not have to search the paper one by one. Second, we want to make the system automatically calculate late return fines based on membership. This ensures that fines are calculated fairly based on the customer membership. Next, this allows librarians to register new book information into the system systematically based on the book titles, authors, or genre. Lastly, we also apply suitable control structures such as sequence, selection, repetition, and functions to make the system easy to maintain even for a long time.
For solution, our group designed a library management system that helps librarians to manage their daily tasks more efficiently. With this system, librarians can handle book borrowing, book returning, and registering new books in a more organized way. This system automatically calculates the fine based on the membership type, which helps to reduce the manual work and possible error. This system makes library management become simpler, faster, and more efficient. For task distribution, I, Afifah, was responsible for several crucial parts of the system. Firstly, I developed the return book module, which handled the process of returning book. Next, I also implemented the fine calculation logic based on the membership type to ensure accurate fine charge. Besides that, I also prepared the project report and designed the flowchart which explains the overall system of our library management project.
For my role in this project, I am responsible for making the main function, borrow book function, and membership application. I am also responsible for designing the pseudocode.
I, Daya, was responsible for the initialize book module, display table module, add book module, as well as the quality checker of the project. These modules focus on preparing book data using arrays, displaying record using loops, managing the addition of new book, and I also ensure that this project is done correctly without any error, especially the system.
Next, for the system analysis, firstly, for the input, the system required staff name, staff ID, book details, customer details, membership type, as well as borrowing and returning information. Next, for the process, the system will initialize the book array and allow new book to be added into the array. It also displays the book table using loops, record borrowing and returning transaction, and calculate late return fine using condition. Lastly, for the output, the system will produce updated book list, borrowing and returning record, display the fine amount, and show the total number of book processed. For this library management system, the program is divided into several modules to make it more organized and easier to manage. The module include the main module, initialize book module, add book module, display table module, borrow book module, and return book module.
So, this is the main function where all the program works here. The program starts by initializing the book data using the initialize books function to ensure all books information are ready before the system is used. Next, the system will display a welcome message and ask user to enter their name and staff ID. After that, the system will enter a do-while loop which allows the main menu to be displayed at least once and repeated based on the user choice. Inside the loop, the system will display the main menu such as display book menu, add new book, borrow book, and return book. Then, the user will be asked to enter the menu choice. The system then uses a selection structure which is if-else structure to check the user's choice. If the user chooses number 1, the system calls the display table function which will display the list of books. If the user chooses number 2, the system calls the add books function. So, this is where the user can add a new book and the updated book list will be displayed again. Same goes to number 3 and number 4, where in each conditions, there will be a function based on the choice. But if the user select number other than 4, the system display invalid option because there is only number 1 until number 4 in the main function. After each operation, the system will ask whether the user wants to continue with the system or not. If the user wants to continue, then the menu will be repeated. Otherwise, the system will exit the loop and display an exit message and thank you message before ending the program.
The initialized book module is implemented using a sequence control structures and arrays. In this module, predefined book information such as title, author, genre, and book code is stored in parallel array at the beginning of program execution. Each array holds a specific type of data, and all books details are stored using the same index to represent one book record. For example, the title, author, genre, and code at the same index belong to the same books. The statements in this module are executed in fixed order without any decision making or repetition. This ensures that the book array are properly initialized before the system proceeds to another module. Using array allows the system to manage multiple book records efficiently and makes the data easier to access and update throughout the program. The display table module is implemented using a repetition control structure. In this module, a loop is used to go through the book array starting from the first index until the total number of books. For each iteration, the system displays the book's title, author, genre, and code in a table format. In the flowchart, the process begins by setting the counter to the first index. The condition is then checked to ensure the counter does not exceed the total number of books. If the condition is true, the books details are displayed and the counter is increased. This process repeats until all book records has been shown. This ensures that all stored book data is displayed systematically without missing any records.
Next, the borrow book function begins by declaring all necessary variables and operate within a do-while loop, allowing the staff to process multiple book borrowings in one session. It first collects the customer's name and checks whether the customer already has a membership using an if-else selection structure. If the customer already has a membership, the system will ask to enter the membership type, book code, borrow date, and return date before displaying the borrowing details. If the customer does not have a membership, the system presents membership options and uses a nested if statement to determine the selected membership type and the fee. After that, the system collects the book and date information and display the complete borrowing and payment details. At the end of each transaction, the user is asked whether they want to add more books, and the loop will be continued based on the user's input.
This flowchart will explain the written book module in the library management system. The module uses repetition and selection control structure to manage the book written process in a structured way. At the beginning, the system set initialized value for important data such as fine rate, free borrowing days for each membership type, total fine collected, and counter for total book, late written, and on-time written. This will ensure that all calculations start with the correct value. The system will then display the borrowing rule based on the membership type. Basic members are given with a shorter free borrowing period with a higher fine rate, while the premium member receive a longer free borrowing period with a lower fine rate. Next, the system allows the user to enter book written information including customer detail, membership type, and total they borrow. A repetition structure using a do-while loop is applied so that multiple book written records can be processed continuously. Selection is used to check whether the membership type entered is valid. If the membership type is incorrect, the system requires the user to re-enter the information until a valid membership is provided. Another selection is used to check the total they borrow. If the value is invalid, the system asks the user to enter the correct number of days. After the input is validated, the system will compare the total they borrow with the free borrowing period according to the membership type. If the total day exceeds the allowed period, a fine is calculated automatically. If the total days are within the allowed period, no fine is charged. Selection is then used to determine the return status. When a fine is applied, the return is recorded as late return. When no fine is applied, the return will be recorded as on-time return. The system will then update the counter for late return and on-time return accordingly. At the same time, the fine amount is added to the total fine collected. At the end of each record, the system asks whether the user wants to continue entering another book return. If the user chooses to continue, the process will repeat. If the user chooses not to continue, the system will display a summary. Finally, the summary will show the total number of book processed, the number of late return, the number of on-time return, and the total fine collected before the module's end.
The add book module uses both repetition and selection control structure. In this module, a post-test loop is used so that the process of adding book runs at least once. The system first checks whether the book list has reached its maximum size. If the book list is not full, the system prompts the user to enter new book details such as title, author, genre, and book code, and store the data into the array. The book count is then increased. After that, the system asks the user whether they want to add another book. If the user chooses yes, the loop repeats. If not, the process ends. If the book list is already full, the system will display a message indicating that no more books can be added. With that, we have explained the design and functionality of our system. We will now proceed to the live demonstration. When the program starts, it will show a welcome message. Then the system asks for the staff name and staff ID. This information is used throughout the borrowing and returning process to keep record consistent. This is the main menu of the system. The staff can choose to display book, add new book, borrow book, or return book. For this demonstration, I will first show the display book menu. When option 1 is selected, the system calls the display table module. This module uses a loop to go through the book array from the first index until the total number of books. For each iteration, the system displays the book numbers, title, author, genre, and code in a table format. This ensures that all book records stored in the array are displayed clearly and systematically. Next, I will demonstrate the add book module. This module uses a post-test loop, meaning the process will run at least once. The system first checks whether the book list has reached the maximum limits. The user is prompted to enter the new book's title, author, genre, and code. After the details are entered, the book is stored in the array and the book count is increased. The system then asks whether the user wants to add another book. If yes is selected, the loop will repeat. If no, the system will exit the module. After adding a new book, the system will display the updated book table. This shows that the new book has been successfully added into the array and stored correctly.
Now, this is the example output for the borrow book function. First, the program will ask for the customer's name. Next, the program checks whether the customer already has a membership. If the customer already has a membership, the program will ask for the membership type, book code, borrow date, and return date. After collecting the inputs, the system will display a complete borrow book details. At the end, the program asks whether the staff want to add more books. If Y is selected, the loop repeats. Otherwise, the function will end. If the customer does not have a membership, the program will display a membership menu. There are two options: basic membership with 7 free days and 1 ringgit, fine per late day, or premium membership with 15 free days and 50 cent fine per late day. Based on the customer's choice, the program will assign the membership type and the fee. After selecting the membership, the program asks for the book code, borrow date, and return date. Finally, the system will display all the borrowing details. After all the process, the program will ask whether user want to continue with the system. If Y, the program will go back to the main menu.
Next, we will proceed to the demonstration of returning book. The user must enter choice number 4 to return the book. Then, it must display the basic and premium period with the fine rate. The user will have to enter the name, the customer name, the book code, the type of membership, the return date, and the total they borrow. Then it will display the fine amount. Then if they want to enter another book, they have to press Y. And then it will loop again to the customer name, the book code, the membership type, the return date, and the total they borrow. It will display another fine amount. Then user can click End to end the loop. When we end the loop, it will show the summary of the total book processed, total fine collected, total late book, and on-time return. Then the user can choose whether to continue with the system again or to end the system by choosing End. Then it will display thank you for using the system.
In conclusion, our library management system demonstrates how programming concepts such as array, control structures, and modular programming can be applied to solve real-life problems. The system helps improve accuracy in managing book records, borrowing and returning transactions, as well as fine calculation. That concludes our presentation and live demonstration. Thank you for your time and attention. For any question, you can leave down in our comment section.